What's up, Space Crew? It's your boy Space105, and welcome back to another Total War Warhammer 3 speculation video. And as you can see, we are in the Realm of Slaanesh, because today's topic is about the upcoming DLC, the Tides of Torment. And once again, we are back with everyone's favorite Great Green Prophet, TheRadude!
Thank you very much, Space Lads. It's glad to be back. Shall we get this party started?
Yes, sir.
So let's begin the speculation first by stating that TA has the next DLC called Tides of Torment, which we all knew as the Slaanesh DLC for the past, 4 months or so? So let's start with the very first faction being the Slaanesh faction. And based on the speculation, there were only really two options there. And what is confirmed is the Child of the Denied one, being like the legendary lord for Slaanesh side, which, by the way, from what we saw with the concept art and model, she is looking really good and much better than her original model used to look. By the way, for this DLC speculation, I have put it together with what's already been confirmed from like the dev blogs or from the videos on CA's channel. So obviously we get like some characters or some units, but we're still going to have some speculation for all three factions coming in.
So what's her story, TheRadude?
So the Child of the Denied one, she used to be a high elf princess of some high elf king of a minor kingdom, like on Ulthuan. And this was back during the Great Catastrophe, so when demons were first pouring into the world. So what happened was that there was a Slaanesh greater demon. No, sorry, not greater demon. It's a demon prince named Samael came to Ulthuan and gave the family of the child terrible nightmares. And in their dreams, it was revealed like, oh, these nightmares will stop if you hand over your daughter to me. And the father, cracking under pressure, decided, you know what, screw it. I'm going to give you my daughter if you just leave my family and I alone.
Oh man, how grim.
And when she agreed to marry him, or was kind of forced to since her father just dumped her right in front of this guy, she eventually became mutated, as you can see. She went from probably the most beautiful high elf princess, which is why like Samael was interested in her, and then got mutated to this snake six-armed woman, pretty much just a Naga, if you really look at her. And this demon prince asked her, do you want to take revenge on your family? To which she said yes, and murdered all of them.
Yeesh, karma strikes back.
But the thing is that she is not a demon princess like, say, Valkia is, for example. Because Samael would not allow her to become more powerful than him, for obvious reasons. But what happened was, after she got her revenge on her family, she agreed to marry Samael, because it was pretty much they're engaged at the moment. However, when she finished the job, she then just ran away, because she would not be in service or become a slave to Samael. Now, Slaanesh, the god or goddess, whoever you want, found intrigue in her and said, you know what? If you ever return to Samael, then you're forever in his service. But if you somehow manage to, kill him or just win against him, then I will upgrade you to a demon princess. The only other thing I know is that she leads a faction, this is lore accurate as well, called the Tormentors. And of course, this is called Tides of Torment, so of course it'd be a Slaanesh faction. And so one thing is that she just travels around the world, just doing Slaanesh stuff or just making people feel pain. One thing that's weird about her is that what she likes to do is secrete liquids from herself, just from anywhere, pull them up into jars, then throw them into battle on units to make them go crazy or just paralyze them, depending on what it is.
Say what? What do you mean by that?
Well, again, it depends. I don't know how it'll be in game, but I'm sure it'll be something where it's like you throw a potion and cause the unit to either rampage, be paralyzed, or whatever.
Or causes terror.
Or that, yeah, that's another one. So, I expect her to be like anti-infantry, armor-piercing, and very, very fast. I don't expect any mount units for her because, well, she's a snake, and I don't know how she can, be in a palanquin or something like that. Alright, so moving on. First, let's talk about the confirmed units, which I think there were only 2 of in the dev blog. One of them being the Champions of Slaanesh, which is a unit, not a hero, guys. It's a unit. Basically just being like snake people as an elite, I guess, 12 or 18-man group of some kind. But I'm interested to see how this unit is going to be compared to, say, Chosens of Slaanesh or just other elite, troops.
I'm thinking we can have 2 variants of this unit. One for infantry and one for something big. Anti-large.
I agree. There should be more anti-large options for Slaanesh, because they only have, if I recall, I think it's just the Keeper of Secrets and their Soul Grinder being the main anti-large units. And, well, they're Marauders, but those guys are really weak. But now, we got one more confirmed unit, and that is Pleasure Seekers, aka Demonettes riding the Boob Snakes.
I am a pious skink. No temptation can stray me from the will of Sotek.
Hey, dude, there's a snake girl with loads of tits. Say what?
I do not have much problem with this, although I still hope that another unit that rides the Boot Snakes does come in with this, as they'll be... Like, I expect these guys to still be, like, fast, swift, and armor-piercing, still squishy, but I hope the other one will be sort of a counter to it. But what are your thoughts on when this unit was revealed?
Yeah, it looks really cool. Not a big fan of Slaanesh, but I like monsters, so yeah, pretty cool. And all of the new units so far is giving me Naga vibes from Warcraft.
And I hope you liked looking at it for the past 2 months, CA. Sorry, I had to get that one in there when they kept reposting the same thing. So let's move on to speculation. Now, I tried my best to add like stuff to speculation. It's not all gonna add up to the exact like format for these DLCs. It's just us trying to have fun of like who can come or what can come here. So, as we discussed, we have the confirmed legendary lord. Now, how about we decide on who the legendary hero could be? And I think there's only really one option, and that is Steercar of the Sortsveneer, however you pronounce it right there. AKA just a exalted hero Slaanesh on a boob snake himself there. Just a named character, and one of Archaon's lieutenants, I believe. So, unfortunately, I don't know too much about his lore. Sorry, guys, I didn't have much time to do so. You know, life and work and all that. But, like I said, I hope that he is the legendary hero just because I think he fits the whole thing. And with the boob snakes coming in, and that being his primary mount in tabletop and lore, I think it made sense. Now, moving on to potential lord and hero options, there's really only 2 missing in order to fill the slots in from Champions of Chaos. That is a Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Slaanesh, so having a Magician as a Lord type for Slaanesh, filling in all the Shadows, Slaanesh, and whatever else could be. And then for the hero option being Exalted Hero Slaanesh, a tanky melee fire to help your lines.
And they'll be riding Steeds of Slaanesh too.
I hope so, because if you recall, with Thrones of Decay, once the Rot Knights came in, that became a mount option for a majority of Nurgle hero types, and lore types too. Now let's move on to potential units that could come in. And one of the first ones, being an obvious one depending on how the other DLCs went, is Slangors, aka like just Slaanesh Beastmen Gores of some kind. Now this should be interesting because there are like official Slangors in Age of Sigmar. However, I think that if Games Workshop allows them, CA could do something more unique with these ones. Because remember, like all of these God-touched Beastmen so far, they have somewhat different roles, with the Zangors having Axe and Shield and Barrier, the Pestigors having obviously Poison and Great Axes for armor piercing, and the Korngors have Halberds, which is armor piercing and anti-large. So what could the Slangors do that's different other than being really fast? One thing I was thinking about is like, what if from the game Chaos and Conquest they give these Slangors Javelins to actually give Slaanesh a ranged unit to help out? Because Slaanesh right now has no ranged units whatsoever.
Slaanesh does have Marauder Horsemen.
Oh yeah, that's right, I forgot about Marauder Horsemen. Okay, so only one, sorry I should say, but why not add another? Thank you for correcting me on that.
Speaking of Beastmen, they should also add Centaurs of Slaanesh too.
I mean, they could, although we still have the Centaurs of Tzeentch, although, if you were to ask me, my guy, Centaurs of Slaanesh makes way more sense than for Tzeentch, because if you know the lore of Centaurs, or just Centaurs in general. So another one I thought about is, there's no official name for them, so I thought like Knights of Pleasure or whatever, but basically like Chaos Warriors of some kind on the Boob Snakes to be a bit more tanky versus the Pleasure Seekers. And because if Steercar is a legendary hero, then I think they gotta have like this one, even if it's like maybe a free LC unit, if it's not part of the DLC, just because the rig and the animation will be there. And plus, this will also add another option to upgrade your Chaos Knights of Slaanesh in the words of Chaos, like upgrade the mechanic. Alright, so now we're moving on to some other units. Unfortunately, I couldn't get that much, so we gotta think about what could be the big, bad centerpiece of monster for Slaanesh, and I think about 2 options. One being some, like, greater spawn of Slaanesh, just some single entity, kind of like the, like, I don't know. And this is the only official artwork we get from the Monstrous Arcanum, just a big, fast demon unit, or, excuse me, spawn unit of some kind. But another that I've seen some people do on their speculations is the Basilisk. Because I think the Basilisk, kind of like the Cockatrice, was originally a Beastman unit, but as we saw, the Cockatrice was then put together for a Tzeentch unit, although the Beastmen still have them if you get the DLC in-game. So there's some speculation like, why not the Basilisk? It's already super fast, it has many arms, it goes around, and it has the, obviously the stone snare of some kind, just like Basilisks do in real mythology. In real life mythology, I should say.
Yeah, including Harry Potter.
So So yeah, those are my main options. Sorry if the Slaanesh stuff was a bit like underwhelming. I really tried to look around, but I couldn't find too much about it. And of course, to finish off the Slaanesh speculation, if we're gonna get that, then we have to have a free LC Legendary Lord, and who else can be other than the Mask of Slaanesh?
So what's her story, and what's so special about her?
So the Mask of Slaanesh was one of Slaanesh's favorite demonesses, in which the Mask was the best dancer throughout the entire, I guess, Chaos realm. However, there was one time where Slaanesh went to a battle and really lost, like got beaten very badly. I don't remember who, but I don't think it matters. The point was Slaanesh lost gravely and got really, really sad. So the Mask tried to cheer up her master by doing a dance in front of the god. But Slaanesh, unfortunately, being very sad, thought that the Mask was mocking Slaanesh. So decided to curse the demoness by constantly making her dance forevermore until eternity is over.
Wait, what? You're telling me she will dance till she dies? Yeesh, I want to end up like her.
Yeah, so the whole point about the Mask of Slaanesh is that in battle, she, or, well, the Mask, can take on multiple stances of dancing that gives different buffs and debuffs.
That's cool. Like, a dance for damage, a dance for speed, a dance for immunity, a dance for literally anything. Wow.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder, like, is it going to be something that we can equip, or is it going to be, like, random stuff similar to, like, Luther Harkon's different personalities where it's almost random?
Okay, so is she a spellcaster or a melee duelist?
Yeah, I'm trying to find out, like, the Mask of Slaanesh and the Wapedia, I don't see anything about magic, for her, so I cannot confirm if she's a magic user or not. We'll just have to wait and see. So I'm sure like Lore Master Soteko or Great Book of Grudges know better than me in this case here.
I mean, it makes sense because GBOG is a big fan of Slaanesh.
Oh yeah, obviously. Alright, so now moving on to the second confirmed faction, which is Norsca, which we recently got the teaser for. And coming in is the legendary lord Sail the Faithless, which I would not have guessed if I was honest with you, but hey, he looks really, really cool, and I think we talked about him, like, what, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, on our first speculation video, and I think you mentioned him again when we're talking about Tamarkan, I think?
Yes, because I haven't read the Throne of Chaos, I just read little blurbs about it on the Warhammerpedia, but he actually joins up with Tamarkan, although he doesn't really like it. He doesn't give a crap about Tamarkan. He just always does stuff in order to gain his own power. So based on the dev vlog that happened very recently, Sail the Faithless obviously being the legendary lord, spellcaster, no idea what his mounts will be, but he's going to be apparently a powerful magic caster with 2 spell lores to use in battle. They didn't say which ones, although I looked it up, and there's a possibility it could be like Light and Shadow, or Heavens and Shadow, excuse me. Yeah, and what it made it sound like, again, they were still very, very vague, but it sounded like you can maybe customize which of those spells you can do. Because obviously, like, as you know, all magic casters have a total of just 6 spells entirely. So it would be awesome if you could customize, like, which from both lores you could choose, rather than just leaving it up to CA, where maybe some of them are good and some of them are not so great.
Kind of reminds me of, remember Kairos' mechanic?
Yeah, and actually, thank God for that update, because that makes Kairos way more fun to play than how he did back when it launched. Yeah, so, in regards to Sail the Faithless, I'm also wondering what kind of mount options he has, if he has any at all. Because, if I recall, in Tamarkan, in the Throne of Chaos, he actually rides a Mammoth War Shrine. And that's where Mammoths first got introduced into Warhammer Fantasy through him. So with Sail the Faithless, they also mention how, for his mechanics, his whole thing is that he messes with diplomacy a bit, where he makes friends, but then eventually betrays them because he's a backstabbing fiend of some kind. But by betraying them, he then gets certain buffs. They were still very vague, but I'm wondering how that will work with diplomacy. And they also mentioned how this is like an experiment to see if they could do a good job with changing diplomacy around before they implemented game-wide. Yeah, so it makes me wonder how the diplomacy is going to work, because one thing that I still don't like about the game that I hope they fix quick is just how anti-player bias works in this game. So it makes me wonder if that will make or break his diplomacy system. But we'll see how it works when the DLC comes out. Oh, actually, before we do move on, do you want a little bit of lore from Sail the Faithless? Sorry to keep you on this here, but do you want a bit of lore of Sail the Faithless?
Yeah, go on.
You actually saw a little bit from that teaser if you watched it there. The whole point is that he was some Dolgan sorcerer. No idea if he was born in the tribe or he just showed up. But the whole point is he was an apprentice to a great shaman sorcerer lord, in which they were doing a ritual of some kind. No idea what it was. But Sail decided to be a little tricky and mess it up for them, where the sorcerer lord got completely, like, vaporized or just turned to ash. But then there were 3 other apprentices, little pals of him. And what happened was during the ritual, since he messed up, they then got merged into what you saw in the teaser, that chaos spawn called the Night Maw.
At first, I thought it was a new unit, but nope, it's a Sail's buddy or pet.
A thing, I don't know, just under his control. So yeah, I took a little bit of a lore dive into this one here, and that Night Maw is a very unique chaos spawn made up of 3 of Sail's old, I guess, colleagues when he was still an apprentice. And now this thing follows him around kind of like Gobla does with Skarsnik, or that he summons from time to time. Now the thing to note is that in the dev vlog, they mentioned how they tried to make this a unit, or like a legendary hero of some kind, but they didn't have the time, or the mocap was really difficult. So what they did was that they made him an active ability of some kind for Sail, as you can see in this artwork here, where when Sail's in combat, you activate that, and it's almost like a swirling vortex of flesh and blades that activate, then go away. I am a little bit disappointed that Night Maw is not like a summon like Krell or a legendary hero, but I can understand if it was like way too difficult, because this thing is an amalgamation of just, ugh. It looks like something you could see off of like Dead Space.
Freaky.
So moving on with the next of the confirmed stuff for Norsca, we have the Fimir Noble. Although minor ranked here, they said he's a hero, I think he should be a generic lord type more than a hero, but we'll see if that gets changed later down the line. But he still looks freaking cool.
I have an idea. Wait, what comes next after a noble?
Well, the one that are like really in charge are those Fimir matriarchs, you know, those female spellcasters. They're like the really high top tier of Fimir society.
That can be an FLC lord for Norsca, don't you think?
This is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that whatever they have for the DLC lord here, they also have one as like a free DLC for having a Norsca rework after like, what, 7 or 8 years of them being kind of a trash tier faction.
There's still monkeys. There's still monkeys monkeying around.
Yep. And also as a way of like saying thank you for waiting so long for this DLC to come out as well. I really, really hope for that. I hope for that. If not, I'll just install a mod so at least Thrall can have some monster general buddies. Yeah, so from what they talked about with the Fimir Noble here, it sounds like he's going to be similar to Fimir, where he's very tanky, armor sundering, but he's also going to like synergize and buff Fimir units especially, and maybe some other monster units. So he's going to be like more slow, tanky in defense and front line compared to say the Skin Wolf Werekin one, which is like very fast get in melee damage.
Wow, I just noticed that he has a hook tail.
But yeah, he has a hook on top of his club tail just to add more to it. And also I think because being Fimir Noble, he can afford to add more stuff on himself. Imagine like if something gets stuck on there, like how awkward would be trying to get it off unless you say, you there, take it off now.
And then the guy in the hook says, I'm still alive!
I'm not dead. Like from Monty Python.
Yeah, I love that movie. It's so funny.
So moving on next is the final confirmed unit is the Chimera, which is a real shocker for me. I did not expect this at all. Yeah, I actually expected this to come like near the end of Warhammer if they do like an end time stuff because of how iconic of a unit this is, but coming for Norsca actually makes more sense because these things are known to be in mountainous chaotic terrain. And of course Norsca is full of that stuff. But when it comes to Chimera, like I expect this guy to be like really fast, also be vicious in melee, maybe be like a bit tankier and stronger than say the Pharaoh Manticore, this thing obviously being a huge upgrade to that. And the thing about the Chimera as well that's interesting is that in tabletop you can customize it by giving different marks on it. Like you can have it be the regular undivided one, which is like has regeneration. You can have that be upgraded to like a Nurgle head of some kind where it gives poison. You can have it be corn that gives a frenzy or whatever. So I'm wondering if they're going to have it just be undivided or if there's going to be like different versions of it in game or if that's like later down the line.
I want different versions of that. That means more monsters for all the Chaos Gods.
And yeah, that'll be awesome. And I'm also curious, like, this is coming to Norsca, obviously, with this DLC. I will hope that Warriors of Chaos also have access to each unit, and I'm wondering if the Beastmen will also have access to each unit or not.
Yeesh. It's too much. Chaos, it's too much.
Well, now I know how it feels like on tabletop when you face them. This is like the true power of Chaos, which I'm glad, like, that's one thing I really like about these DLCs is that when you add these new units, they also get shared around to add more variety just overall, if it makes sense, of course.
Now I can imagine what the end times looks like. Archaeon.
We're ready for you.
Earthly the world.
No way.
You don't really have a choice in the matter. I'm taking over.
Oh yeah? You and what army?
Only the army of the Dark Gods.
You just had to ask, didn't you?
And when we get to the speculation side, there's just one more thing to talk about, and that's the rework side, in which Norsca is finally getting their rework that's been long overdue. So first thing is that the Monstrous Arcanum is going to be reworked and expanded, because if you had noticed, there are currently no Warhammer 3 monster hunts that were added to that book there. So I expect more to come in, like maybe a Kadai Destroyer for the Chaos Dwarfs, and maybe some other stuff in there.
Maybe we can list it down for you. For Kislev, maybe we can have a Elemental Bear. For Cathay, maybe a deformed rogue Terracotta Sentinel?
That, or we could have a, what's another big unit they have? Probably like one of the Moonbirds, or...
What?
Oh, how about the Lions? How about the Lion?
Or that, yeah. Like a really big one, like the Alpha one that's like really big. So for Ogres, it's gotta be like a Stonehorn or a Thunder Tusk. Those are obvious picks right there.
For the Demons, for Zinch, it could be the Cockatrice.
What?
Or the Muleth Vortex Beast.
Okay, for Khorne, it can be the Slaughter Brute.
Yeah, that could be one. Or Bloodthirster if you want to do like actual demon hunting of some kind.
Oh, that would be sick. For Nurgle, it could be a Great Unclean One or a Toe Dragon. And for Slaanesh, either a Keeper of Secrets, or maybe the new units, like maybe the Greater Chaos Spawn of Slaanesh, or the Basilisk. But we will see when it comes out.
And honestly, I think with the Monstrous Arcanum, they should ditch like the questing system on it, because it's exactly like Warhammer 1, and it was awesome back then, but now because so much stuff is going on, we don't really have time to explore the world, like going here, raiding that, or doing whatever. I think it should be like a regular quest system, which you maybe kill a few things, maybe do one thing, but then you can like instantly teleport to that place. So I'm hoping that they, one, expand the reward system on that. It also makes me wonder how the Chaos Allegiance and Confederation system is going to be worked, because they said they're going to expand Confederation, how that works with Norsca, so I'm interested to see what happens with that. And maybe get expanded to the Greenskins and the Ogres as well. Now, moving on to the rework side, Wulfric and Throg are going to become more unique. And now Wulfric has Seafang in the campaign map, which will make him go very fast or even teleport from port to port, from what I heard.
From port to port? Warhammer Fantasy's very first speedboat.
And it's like just maybe add a deja vu meme on there somehow. Yeah, so Wulfric is finally being updated, in which he finally gets Seafang as some sort of like teleport or really fast moving mechanic on the campaign map. So finally he's got that. I'm wondering how it's going to work, because they said he's going to be more of a marauding and a raiding faction. So that would be fun. If he can teleport like Arbol, then I think I'll definitely like to play him more. But now moving on to my personal favorite of the bunch, which is not a lot. Throg will receive an additional mechanic where he will apparently use the power of monsters in battle, trolls in particular. It was very vague, but what I'm hoping, don't quote me on this, is that not only can like upgrade and buff monsters like it usually does for Norsca, but maybe get other monsters from other factions into his roster.
Waiter,
Sir?
can I?
Of course.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much.
What?
I'm hoping like he can maybe get river trolls and stone trolls from the greenskins, or maybe even some beastman units would be awesome.
What?
Again, that's not confirmed. They were very vague about it in the vlog, but he just said, oh, he'll be able to use the power of monsters. And also, my personal favorite part of this vlog, Wulfric is, one, getting more voice lines added onto him, and two, Throg is finally getting a voice rework, so he actually sounds freaking intelligent like he should have been.
Wait, he's really that intelligent?
Yeah, because remember, he is the smartest troll ever, but they screwed up how he sounded when he was first revealed, because he actually sounds very intelligent, where he speaks similar to a man with a deep troll voice, but he doesn't sound stupid. That's the whole point of him.
What if we get armored ice trolls?
I mean, I wouldn't complain about that at all, because we do have armored chaos trolls in the Warriors of Chaos roster. Makes me wonder if that's like part of his mechanic, where the more you kill and raise, maybe you could get like upgraded troll units of some kind, or just other monster units that are not part of Norsca originally.
You mean like the greenskin scrap mechanic?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. Alright, now moving on to the speculation stuff here, one of which is kind of confirmed, but the other stuff is still up in the air. So, after talking about this, we obviously know the legendary lord, we don't know the legendary hero. And since the Nightmaw is an ability, not a hero, I thought, why not Beorg Bearstruck for the legendary hero of Norsca?
Whoa.
Literally just a man that can shapeshift into a werebear. So, from what I recall originally, he was originally a Dogs of War character, in which he started off in the north as Norsca. He was then raiding and marauding in the Empire. He realized he could get somewhat paid for that, so then he moved down to the Border Princes, where he really became a mercenary with him and his crew, the Bearmen of Urslo.
Oh, so he's a chaos mercenary guy.
Yeah, the Dogs of War is kind of weird where like any faction could be on there. It was a weird time there. Still really fun. But yeah, that's where he made his debut through that. But why not add him to Norsca since he is from Norsca? Also, another fun fact about him. Did you know he's actually a direct descendant of the bear god Urson himself?
What? And none of the Kislevites are talking about it. Not even Kostalton?
I don't think they want to because he's a chaos boy.
Bro, he's a direct descendant of Urson. I mean, you gotta talk about him. Oh wait, that would be blasphemy.
Well, it'd be blasphemy, and plus, I think it's more of like a bastard relationship where he was like not really official, or they don't want him to be official. They want like Boris and Katerin to be the main people.
So he's gonna be like T'Challa, another infantry meat grinder, right?
Well, potentially, because skin wolves are anti-large, so I thought maybe make him like a very tanky boy that's more about infantry damage, really, just to like make him unique compared to the skin wolves. But still, like for his abilities, maybe like also buff werekin of some kind, like both skin wolves, maybe some other monster units. It depends.
What if we had feral bears for Norsca?
Actually, that's what was going to be like part of the unit speculation here if we go further down. I was thinking like if we were going to add him on there, why not add like werebears or skin bears or whatever you want to call it into the Norscan roster. Now, moving on, it hasn't been confirmed, but I think it's pretty obvious depending on the teaser trailer. I think we're going to get Shaman Sorcerer Lords as the new generic lord type for Norsca, which I do like. I'm still hoping for some sort of monster generic lord to help out my boy Throg. Because Norsca, more than anyone, needs more generic lord types, because they've had the Mirage Chieftain for so many years.
Just like the Beastmen back then, they only had one lord. Now they have two more. Oh wait, what would be the Norscan equivalent to the Beastmen's Doom Bull? Like, how about a new melee lord that's stronger than a chieftain?
Or well, another one that could be is like, I don't know if this is official, but it could be awesome. Is like, what about like a Skin Wolf Jarl of some kind? Just an upgraded version of the Skin Wolf Werekin. That was something I heard tossed around by some rosters. Like, again, I have no idea. I cannot say, but I'm hoping we get some sort of monster generic lore type for Norsca. That's just all I'm hoping for right there. Right then, want to move on to some speculation for units, and feel free to chime in anything that I may have missed or that you think is a possibility here. So one that I hope is like near confirmation, because we talked about it before, I'm hoping for the Curs'd Etin being like one of the first unit types to be added in here. So imagine like a monster as big as a giant, does more damage, I would say, or just is faster, a little bit faster, and with the potential of spell casting, I'd like maybe through some bounce spells of some kind.
Yep, a giant that can cast magic.
Now, would you like to know a little bit about lore of the Curs'd Etin?
Yeah, tell me. What makes them different from giants?
Yeah, so there used to be a specific tribe in Norsca that followed the Chaos Gods and all that, doing bigger stuff. Until one day, like all the tribes of Chaos were called in, I think it was like during the first ever Chosen or whatever, but one chieftain said, no, we're gonna stick back, so that they waited for the other tribes to go do their reign down south, and this particular tribe just decided to pillage everyone behind their backs during that time. So obviously the Chaos Gods did not like that they were betrayed. So what they did was that they actually like did some chaos magic or whatever, merged like two people from each tribe together to these giant mutated giants of some kind in constant pain, but forced them to keep their intelligence and their sanity intact rather than the bliss of spawndom, so that they remember their betrayal and always feel like whatever they're feeling right now.
Wait, like a cursed fusion?
Yes. And the thing about the two heads is that one is like an intelligent, cunning, malicious person, where the other is a blubbering idiot, and they're both like constantly fighting for control for the body, in which they switch sometimes, depending on the situation. The thing about these guys is that compared to giants, like giants are really dumb guys, so if you're encountering a giant, they'll just like smash you, crush you, or just eat you. Like kind of a quick thing. But these guys, they are very malicious, so if they capture you, they will make sure you feel every pain imaginable before you die.
Oh, okay.
What kind of lore of magic do they cast?
I actually don't know, but if I'm assuming that's gonna be like death, beasts, and or shadows, and maybe a few others being some bound spell options. So either way, it's gonna look like a really fun, disgusting unit that I think will add to the Norscan roster. Now, moving on. Another option that I've seen thrown around is the Fen Beast, which is almost like moss or swamp elementals of some kind that were actually on Albion or in the Femir roster. Alright, another option I thought about, because we saw it like in some C art book of some kind, was the giant spine Chaos Beast. Just imagine like a warhound that's been so heavily mutated that it just became way bigger with way more spines sprouting out of it. There. So just a massive, like, dog of some kind that goes around really fast, shredding stuff into pieces. Alright, another unit I thought about was, what about, if we're gonna get a bear or bear struck, why not his regiment, the Bearmen of Ursula, being like some regiment renowned of some kind?
Why a regiment of renown? Aren't they also like Bjorn? Like they can also shapeshift?
Well, actually, I think that in lore, Bear or Bearstruck is the only one that could turn into a werebear, whereas his unit is just like, you know, Marauder champions of some kind. But I'm not sure, like, if Games Workshop will change that or not, or if those guys will be werebears or what. Another unit we could add is that if we add Bear or Bearstruck, why not use his assets for more cost efficiency by adding, like, skin bears, werebears, or whatever you want to call it of some kind, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and also, why not add the feral bears too, as an additional units?
Yeah, and why not add those to Kislev CA? Rakarth and Draika have them, why not Kislev? Right, so unfortunately that's all I have for Norsca, because I couldn't really find much else. What do you think so far? Is there anything you want to add to this?
I have an idea. I know this might sound weird, but why not give the chieftains a Chimera mount option?
I mean, I'm not opposed to that at all. We got Chaos Dragons for Warriors of Chaos, so why not Chimeras for Marauders? I'm perfectly fine with that.
And maybe for Frost Dragons, they can be mount options for the Great Shamans. And why not have one for Sail the Faithless?
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I don't know how it's going to work. All I know, I have no idea what Sail's mounts would be if he has mounts at all.
Also, for other stuff, you forgot to mention the Norscan Whalers.
Oh, duh. I don't know why I completely forgot about that. Probably just due to my schedule. But, I mean, that could be an awesome option to have, where it's just like a Norscan Javelin guys, but, like, way more elite and just bigger harpoons to throw at things. That could be awesome. Oh yeah, another thing I forgot to say is that during the dev vlog, and sorry to bring this back, last thing here, remember when we were talking about, like, those faction reworks for Throg and for Wulfric?
Yeah?
So, as they stated, like, Wulfric's gonna be, like, more of the marauding raiding type, so probably teleporting around. Throg is gonna try and make his Kingdom of Beasts by using the power of monsters, whatever that means. Sail is gonna be focused on diplomacy, like making and breaking deals in order to be more powerful. But they also mentioned, like they said, oh yeah, Throg is going to remain where he is there. So I'm wondering if Wulfric is going to have a completely new start position, which will be awesome because Norca is really crowded now.
So if you were to pick a new starting location for Wulfric, where do you think is the best spot to start his campaign?
Well, one place I heard people talk about, like, very often is Skeggy, which I haven't gone there as Norsca, but I heard it has a unique, landmark on there that really helps out. So that could be awesome. Although, that means he starts near Lizardmen, which I do not enjoy fighting against.
Not just Lizardmen. He's also next to Luther. He's next to Uzul.
He's next to Marcus and Albrecht.
Oh, don't forget Yuan Bo. The Lustrian Death Bowl continues.
It's back, baby. But I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I'm sure some people will find it interesting, and I'll definitely give it a try if he has that teleport thing where I can just whisk away if I don't want to stay there. But yeah, if Wulfric goes somewhere else that's not in Norsca, I have no objections to that whatsoever.
But before we move on, do you remember the time I said, what if Norsca had war mammoths with ballistas or catapults on their backs? And you said no, because they are not as advanced like the Empire and other civilized factions?
Yeah, they don't have any siege equipment whatsoever. They rely on monsters to do that. That'd be cool, I just don't know if it'd be lore accurate, but hey, if it's fun to play, why not?
Wait, why am I riding this? Sir, why am I riding on an eagle instead of a griffin? Oh, sir, we don't want your other griffin to be jealous about you riding on another griffin. Oh, I see. Anyway, back to you, TheRadude.
Moving on to the final race, it's gotta be High Elves since it's called Tides of Torment, and the High Elves are the best naval race in the entire setting. So, who better for Tides of Torment than Sea Lord Iceland himself, like the Lothern Seaguard guy. So with him, I expect him to be like kind of the opposites or like similar to Lokir Felhard for the Dark Elves, where this guy focuses on like maybe trade or like going throughout the seas or increase like buffs when at sea and fighting, is my guess, as well as buffing up Lothern Seaguard or whatever else may come in this DLC here. The thing about him is that he was never really officially put on tabletop. He was given like this one artwork here and given like a lore and backstory and all that, but he never actually had official rules, I think, with that. But the thing you need to know about him is that if you think high elves are arrogant and racist to begin with, this guy is like way, way more, where he just officially hates humans and halflings specifically. And he's very vengeful and vindictive, where there was one time it was like some Marienburg pirates cut him off from his own trade route, so he just went and just burned the port of Marienburg just because he could.
Touch me and I'll cut your friend.
What do I care?
He's too short.
Short?
You're a racist!
All elves are racist.
The difference is I admit it.
Damn, son.
So when it comes to when he comes in game, I don't think he's a caster, so I expect him to stand out from the other elves by being like melee hybrid characters. Like if a Lithanar is all about range, then this guy is about half and half with like spear of some kind and a kick-ass bow. So moving on, that's the potential legendary lord. Potential legendary hero, I'm thinking is Caradrin, captain of the Phoenix Guard. So to have like a halberd legendary hero of some kind. To also buff up Phoenix Guards and Phoenixes.
Nice. And wait, does he ride on the Phoenix too?
Yes, he does. It's I forget the name, but it's a very specific Frostheart Phoenix that he has in lore. But yeah, this guy could be awesome. And another thing that also helps with CA and their cost is that, remember, since he's a Phoenix Guard, he has a vow of silence too.
What does that mean, RaDude?
Well, just as it says you can't speak or say anything. When you play with the Phoenix Guard as High Elves, they don't shout out anything. They're completely silent.
Why?
Because that's their vow to the god Asurian. That the only time they speak is when they die. I mean, it says right here, on that day, Caradrin gave up all his worldly possessions, like when he took this vow, because he used to be a high elf prince of some kind, a very arrogant one, like even more so, go figure, and took the vow of the Phoenix Guard. He has not uttered a word ever since.
Bro, that is crazy.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, the reason why I went for him versus, say, I think it was like Corhill or that White Lion guy is because we already have kind of a White Lion character with that guy with the dual axes as a pseudo legendary hero you can get. Alright, so moving on, now we get the units here. Starting off with a generic lore type, I was thinking if we're going to get Caradrin, why not have the Anointed of Asurian as a generic lore where we have this halberd guy as a new lore type for the High Elves, which I think could add some more variety to their armies. So, since we're moving on with sea-based stuff, for generic hero, why not a Lothern Sea Helm? A hybrid, a character of some kind that can like buff up Sea Guard as well as maybe having some other stuff like maybe increase mobility if that's not already a thing for the generic heroes already in the game. So like this guy being more of a support hero that like buffs up your units, because if I recall, the Noble is like the guy you send in to get stuck in. Then you have all your mages with that, and you also have the what was it called, Handmaiden, which is more about like, again, spear and range, but that's more about them being the badass character. But I think this guy could be more of a support one, being your front lines and just like maybe replenish ammo or as well as thinking or stuff like that. In regards to mounts, I have no ideas, although I think there is one option if this unit does come into DLC. That is one, that if it's the case of all sea-based one, the Lothern Sky Cutter.
Ooh.
So it's pretty much like a giant chariot with a ballista or harpoon launcher being carried by a bird and being put up in the air by magic. Think of it like the Scourge Runner chariot for the Dark Elves, but being able to fly.
I have an idea. What if we have 3 versions of the Sky Cutters? One with Sea Guards, another with a Bolt Thrower, and the third being a Regiment of Renown.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I can totally see that happening. Good idea. So moving on, one I thought about, and this was something that came up because I really couldn't think of like basic units for the DLC, is like, what about like Lothern Sea Rangers? So you have the Lothern Sea Guard, which is all about like, spear, shield, and bow. So I was thinking for these guys, why not make them like sword and shield and bow, or to make them even more unique, what about great sword and bow?
Oh, like the Dark Shades. Wow. If you ask me, in this DLC, the factions I'm going to play as is Norsca and the High Elves. I don't care if the world hates me, I just want to enjoy sailing the high seas with my Sea Guard bros.
I don't blame you. And hopefully like Sealer Icing comes with some really unique campaign mechanics too. Now, final unit that I really hope will be in, because this is the unit I've been anticipating for years, how about the Murworm for the High Elves?
Judging by the look of this model, kinda looks like a combination of a Toad Dragon and a Dread Saurian.
But I think it'll be a little faster than them and definitely do like as much damage as them. Because these guys, while they're aquatic based, they can still run really fast on land.
Really? Imagine a race between a merworm and a colossal squig. What do you think will win?
But I actually don't know which one will win. That's a good, that's an interesting thing to see there. But yeah, like other than that, all I know is that I think they may house out poison attacks, or at least a specific variety of them. But they definitely need to have aquatic and just be a big, beefy monster of some kind. But since CA has a thing of like adding units to different factions with all these DLCs, if we are having the merworm, then please give the Vampire Coast an undead version and maybe the Dark Elves an enslaved version too.
Yes, please. And judging by the size of these beasts, they kind of look rideable. Like elves can ride on them. Can they?
I have no idea. I can definitely see them using similar assets to the, now that I think about it, it's very similar to the Frost Dragon for Kislev.
What about merworm mount options for High Elf Lords and Heroes?
I know that's lore accurate, but I'm not opposed to that. Oh, that could be a mount option for the Lothorn Sea Helm if it comes with it. Yeah, because unfortunately I couldn't really find anything else unless you go like to really abstract stuff, but I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, because of like how long this franchise has been going on, some of these units are either like pretty obvious with the theme or really weird, or stuff CA will have to just make up and get approval from Games Workshop for. And also, one other thing, because I added this on the document here, I hope that Sea Lord Iceling, I hope he doesn't start on the donut. I hope he actually starts in the eastern colonies with that one High Elf faction like way in the corner there. I think it'll be an interesting start, and it fits his theme of being constantly sea-based and on the move outside the continent. But also, if they are going to put him in the eastern colonies, I hope that they expand it where you can actually go like eastward of the eastern colonies. Because if you look at the map now, like once you reach those eastern colonies, you have to go through that sea route in order to get to like the Cathay region. I hope maybe we could just like maybe if need be sail. And another thing I hope CA, I hope you officially like expand the map to include areas in Indian Koresh. We don't need the faction right now, but it'll be awesome to expand the regions there.
Wait, why is my griffin black? Oh, while you were away, your griffin decided to go for a stroll in the air and accidentally crash landed on our oil tanks. Oh, I see. We will give him a shower after this. Back to you, RaDude.
Alright, so that ends the DLC speculation for Tides of Torment. Any thoughts, my good friend?
Once again, I love it. And again, I'm not a big fan of Slaanesh, but at least the Norskins finally got their long-awaited rework, as well as the High Elves getting new content after like, I don't know, 5 years ago.
Tell them to bring me my money.
And here's another idea. What if we get an FLC for the Dark Elves?
I'm not opposed to that. That makes perfect sense to me there. Like Tolaris Dreadbringer or someone else.
I think the Mask of Slaanesh might beat the legendary lore for the FLC, similar to Thrones of Decay with Epidemius and Omens of Destruction with Arval.
Yeah, makes sense if we go by that pattern there. I hope that CA fixes the missing FLC lore for Tzeentch when they did Sound with Change.
Yeah, like maybe we can have Melek, Saispeth, Hispeth, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Engrim, Amon Shakai. Oh wait, he's just a Sathra Elf clone. Anyway, so that's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed our speculation video. If you liked it, don't forget to click that subscribe button, slap the notification bell, like the video, share this video with your friends, and leave a comment down below. And thank you, RaDude, for once again joining with me in this speculation.
My pleasure, my friend. Always a great time to just talk Warhammer with you.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about other stuff too. Maybe we can like start a podcast or something.
Possibly there. And out of curiosity, like you said, you already mentioned Norsca and Aisling. If you are interested, like if this DLC comes by, would you be interested in doing a co-op campaign where like one of us is Tamarkand, one of us sail, and we try to like reenact the Throne of Chaos?
Oh, yes, please. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.